Hello everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I am Andres Villalba, I am a sales engineer at Sencha, and today I will be guiding you through the world of Rapid Ext JS. I will mainly go through multi-application development. However, I will first explain the basics of XJS and Rapid Ext JS. What we will be doing is learning a little bit about Rapid Ext JS, like I said before. We will also look at what's new on the latest version. We will learn how to download and install the Rapid Ext JS VS Code extension. We will also take a look at different features and examples. For example, I'm going to show you how to create a project with Rapid Ext JS. I'm going to show you the Rapid Ext JS interface and some of its features. We're also going to learn how to take projects from Sencha Architect into Rapid Ext JS. And finally, we're gonna learn how to do multi-project management. That's the main topic of today. It's not complex, so that's why I'm gonna show you little bits and pieces of different things you can do with Rapid Ext JS. At the end, I'm gonna try and answer as many questions as I can. Please take in mind that this will probably be a whole hour session, so I might not be able to get to your question. If that's the case, please leave them in the panel and I'll do my best to answer them through email on a later date. Okay? So I know that not all of you know what XJS is. So I'm gonna do a brief introduction on XJS and Rapid Ext JS. Like I have here in this slide, XJS is a JavaScript framework. It lets you build cross-platform web applications for any modern device. It is based on JavaScript and it has a lot of components and a lot of features that you can use to create any application that you may need. So if you want to learn more about XJS, I invite you to visit our website. It's just sencha.com, and here you will be able to see some demos and the applications that are included with your license. And one of the things that it's included, it's Rapid Ext JS. So we're going to be talking about Rapid Ext JS, not only XJS. Like I was saying, XJS, it's a JavaScript framework, and you can code on it by just using JavaScript. It will create everything for you, the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, it will connect to the backend. And XJS is backend agnostic, meaning you can have any language or any service that you want on the backend, okay? And Rapid Ext JS and Sencha Architect are IDEs that you can use to create visually your applications. Sencha Architect, it's a standalone application, and Rapid Ext JS, it's an add-on for Microsoft Code, okay? But you can see that we have plenty more here. And if we check the UI components, you will be able to see that we have over 140 components on 2 different toolkits. We have a modern toolkit and a classic toolkit. And from there, you can extend from any of our existing classes to create whatever you may need. For example, next month, we're going to have another webinar where I'm going to show you how to create your own custom components. I have several prepared, and I'll try to explain as many as I can. Okay, but that's a different topic. Today, so we're going to be talking about Rapid Ext JS. And like I was saying, Rapid Ext JS is basically an extension for Visual Studio Code. Okay, it allows you to create all your applications in a quick manner by doing it visually instead of coding everything. And the logic of your application has to still be coded, but the visual part will be created for you in a simple way. Like I was saying, it's basically just a graphical user interface extension, and it's kind of like a low-code editor, and it provides support for all the 140 components that XJS has, which includes grids, includes charts, buttons, and different other components, okay? Right now I'm just clicking at random just to show you a few that we have, okay? Now, apart from that, you can do this just by dragging and dropping. You can edit configurations and you can real-time preview what you're doing. And of course, this is gonna speed up your development needs. So what's new on Rapid Ext JS 1.1.1? Well, first, let me tell you that we're gonna release this new version next month. should be ready soon. However, what I'm gonna be talking about today, it's not just this new version. I'm also gonna be talking a little bit about version 1.1.0. And we're gonna be talking about the features and options that we have. Take in mind that there has been some enhancements, including improvements in performance and bug fixes. Okay, now, since version 1.1.0, we have added the capability to take Sencha Architect projects and import them into Rapid Ext JS. This is a one-way path. If we turn something into a Rapid Ext JS application, we cannot take it back into Architect. Okay? However, we bet that once you move, you will love the new features that we have for you on Rapid Ext JS. We also now allow the option to have multiple projects inside one workspace, and it's an easy way to switch between the different projects. We're going to be talking about that in a few minutes. And there are a few other options. For example, we can add dynamic packages inside our app.json file, which is basically our configuration file. And this will be making your application load in bits and pieces so that everything is loaded on demand. So now we know what Rapid Ext JS is. Let me show you how to download the add-on and how to install it. And basically you have two options. If you have an active enterprise license, you can just go to the support panel and download it from there. If instead you have a pro license or you just want to try it because you don't have any license, you can just do that from the trial page. So basically, if we do the trial, all we have to do is open the website, navigate into Rapid Ext JS, enter the data here, and you will get to download the plugin and use it for 1 month. If you do have a valid license, you can go into support.sencha and just go into downloads, and you will be able to find it somewhere around here. Here it is. Okay, you will get to download it, or you can download a past version if you want to, and you will be able to just install it. Also, if you have any questions, you don't know how to do it, you can go into our documentation. Here you will find Rapid, and you will find a lot of instructions. How to enable it, how to open projects, how to migrate from Architect, and things that we're gonna cover in this webinar. They are also described here. So now that you have downloaded the file, all you have to do is go into Visual Studio Code and add it in the extensions tab. So let me just do that. Okay, here's Microsoft Code. I'm just gonna go into the extensions folder. I'm gonna click over here, and I'm gonna install from VS-IX. Okay, I have this in my Sencha folder, which is somewhere around here. I apologize that this is in Spanish. As you can tell, I'm a native Spanish speaker. So let me see, I have it under software, Rapid Ext JS, and here it is. Once you do that, if this is the first time you have installed Rapid, it's just going to ask you to enter your license. If you have done this before, it's not going to ask you that anymore, okay? And also, once you have it here, you also have a few instructions down here, okay? But this is also on our documentation, so if you don't have this guide here, don't worry about it. You can find it in our docs. Okay, now that it's here, if you wanted to create your first project, all you have to do is look for this on the bottom. It says new XJS app. You click on it, it's gonna open this window, and you can create or import an existing project. Okay, I'm not gonna do it right now. I will be doing it in a few minutes. If you see that button that it's on the bottom, it means that it has installed correctly. Okay, if it asks you for a username and password, is the username that you are using for the npm login, or if you don't have a login, then you can select that you want to use this just as a trial. Now that we have installed Rapid Ext JS, we can continue by creating our first example. Also, we can take a look at some of the features that we have. So first thing that I'm going to be doing is just following that window that I was just showing you. And I'm gonna enter some options there, and I'm just gonna create the application. Please take in mind this might take a few minutes if that's normal, especially myself. I'm running from an external hard drive that is a little bit slow, and also it's going to download a few things that it needs. So depending on the connection that you have, this will take either a couple of minutes or maybe even 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. In my experience, it's usually between 2 or 5 minutes that it takes to create the project, but it's downloading a bunch of files to create your project. So first thing is that we have to enter our application name. Can be anything that you want. Please name it something that doesn't use any spaces or special characters. Okay. I have already created a couple of projects for this example, so I'm gonna be naming this live example, just to know that this is the one that we have just created. And I'm going to select a folder where I'm going to save that project. Okay, so it's under the Sencha webinars project, and here I have first app, second app. Okay, so then I can select the SDK that I want to use. I have those two in my computer, that's why those are the two showing. I can also select the toolkit. We have modern, classic, or universal. Modern uses a little bit more of CSS and things like that to make an application work better on a mobile device. Classic uses a lot more of JavaScript in its core, and it's better suited for desktop devices. And universal includes both toolkits. Okay, for now I'm just gonna create a modern toolkit application. Then under packages, you can choose what you want to include inside your application. If you're gonna be using charts or pivot grids, calendar, D3 adapter, or the Froala editor, you must select it. So I'm just gonna say that I need charts. Then you can select any of the themes you have available, like Material, iOS, Neptune, or Triton. I'm just gonna select Material. And then you have a bunch of templates. Okay, these vary depending on the toolkit you're selecting. So for now, I'm just gonna create the co-working example. Okay, I'm gonna hit create. And like I said, this is gonna take a few minutes. I'm running on a beta version 1.1.1, so I might get a couple of errors while it's running, but this is to be expected. This is not the final version that you will be getting once we release it. Okay, now that it is done, as you can see, it has created a bunch of files over here. We have app.js, which is the main file. We have app.json, which right now it's only one line, but we will fix that in a few minutes. And this is where we set up our project. There's an index.html and index.js and different folders over here. Our main logic goes inside app, and there, as you can see, we have different files there. Okay, so this is the place where we're gonna get to change our application. Okay, we can create new views or check it out. And let me show you the application that it created. Basically, it's our co-working example. It's running on their local host on the port 2020, which can be changed, but for now, we will leave it like that. Log in. And as you can see, it's a fully working example, and you can start with that as your template. Okay. So let me go back over here. And as you can see, we have a view folder and we have several different views there. Let me open one of those views. Let's go to home. And if I open a view, as you can see, it will show me the view on the left and it will show me the Sencha toolbox on the right. And as you can see here, you can emulate different screens, either by selecting it on the top, or you can just also click on the different buttons over here to have it look a little bit different, okay? So you can test it this way. Okay, now let's go into the login. As you can see here, here's everything that we have. As you can see, I can grab something and just push it there. And now I have another button. If I want to change the logic, I can click on it and change a few things on the right, or I can switch the view into code view and I can change it from over here. For example, I'm just gonna say example. I'm gonna say it. And if I go back to the sign view, I can take a look at it like that, or I can just select the split view and see both things there. Okay. Let's just go back to design view. Okay, but what if we want to create an application that it's a lot more simple? Well, I'm just gonna go into new XJS app again. It's gonna say simple app. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the same folder here. I'm gonna select this time the classic toolkit. Let's also use charts. Now I'm gonna select the Triton theme. Notice that we have different themes there. And now I'm just gonna create something simple. Let's just say the classic desktop grid. Once again, this is gonna take a few minutes, but let's see exactly what it does once it's finished. Same deal. Now that the application is ready, you can see that we have an app folder. Here we have the desktop files. Okay, with our views and different options over here. And we also have our application running over here. Okay, doesn't have anything in it, it's just something simple. But as you can see, you have different options pre-created for you so that you don't have to start from scratch. Okay. And just like I was saying, if you want to make this look a little bit better by beautifying it, you can just select it and just press Shift Alt F. Okay, that makes it a lot more readable, and you can just go in and change whatever you may need. So let me just save, and let's move on to the next example. Okay, so far we have learned how to create applications, but we need to actually create the inside of the application. We need to add components and different options. So I'm just gonna grab this second example that we created, and inside of it we're gonna learn exactly what we can do with the toolbox, how to change the screen resolution, and how to manage the component tree, how to work with the different options, okay, that we have here. We won't be able to talk about all of them, but I'll choose the most important ones. So let's go back into our project. If you remember, we have a bunch of different files here. Like I said, the most important ones are located inside app. And here you can see that we have a model folder, store folder, util, and view. Like their name states, store is data stores that will connect to the backend. Right now, since this is an empty project, we don't have any data stores there. Model explains the data that is going to be loaded by the store. Okay. And util is where we can create some other util classes. And view is where we have the main contents of our project. So as you can see here, we have a login screen. We also have the main screen and the home screen. Okay. It's usually a good idea to create a folder per component. Let's open one of them. So I'm just going to open the home view. And as you can see here, this is just some basic text. I can do with it whatever I want. So first, I'm just gonna take it out. I'm gonna do it from the code view. So basically, I'm just gonna get everything from HTML down to the end of that string. And I'm going to delete it. And as you can see here, I have an X type, a class, a CSS class, controller, view model, and several other options. So we can change whatever we want here, or we can go into any of the other options and just delete them there too. And as you can see, we have a base color, and that's going to be applied to the background color. That's why we have that shade of blue over over here, okay? But anyways, that's not what we want to do here. I just want to show you how easy it is to add some options here. Like I mentioned before, we have a toolbox, and over here we have a bunch of different options. So let's say I want a grid. I'm just gonna click on it and drag it over here. Okay, now I have it right there. I want to add the option to filter, so I'm just gonna add a grid filter bar. And as you can see now, it is there. Okay, and I have several different options, as you can see here, quite a lot. So let's say if you want a specific height, you can select it here, and you can just change whatever you may need, okay? But just for the fun of it, I want to have the grid occupy the whole space. I can of course do it just with a layout fit for the container. That way each child is gonna occupy the full width. However, I'm just gonna do it in code so that you can see that it works. I can just go and code whatever I want. So I'm just gonna say layout fit. And even if I change it over here, that's gonna update my design view. So now the grid occupies the whole space that I have available. Okay, and if we want to test what we have been doing, whenever we use Rapid Ext JS, there's going to be an instance of a server running under localhost on the port 2020. So this is what I have right now. Okay, in case this is not running, the way to change it to make it work is quite easy. You go into action commands, and what you have to do is restart the watch. This is going to open a terminal and a console window on the bottom, and there you can just look at what is going on. Okay, as you can see, it's telling me that it's running on localhost 2020. Make sure that you have the filters here applied to just Rapid Ext JS. It'll be easier to look at it, since if you don't choose that filter, you're gonna get all kinds of messages here, okay? If you don't want that web server to be running, you can just stop watch, okay? So it's that easy. If I wanted to add something else, or if I wanted to change something, it's also easy. Let's say that I grab the grid and I don't want that title. So I'm just gonna look for title property instead of grid. It's gonna say sample, okay? And after you do that, that's going to update the view, and it's also going to update on the window that I had open. Okay. It's like I said, it's just that simple. You wanted to add more options. Something that is really cool about Rapid Ext JS is that I can go into view, right click on it, and I can select generate new view here. And that's going to open another window. I can give it a name. Let's say this is a dashboard. Okay, and it's going to ask me what I want to create. Usually whatever I create comes in a package of 4 sections. Dashboard.js, which is the view, dashboard controller for our logic, dashboard SCSS or SAS for our style, and dashboard model.js for the data model. And we can tell if we're gonna build a panel, a window, container, tab panel, or just a grid. So right now I'm just gonna say that I'm gonna build a panel. I'm gonna hit create, and now it has created that dashboard for me. Okay, of course that's going to be an empty panel. Okay, but let's say that for now I want to put some charts in there. So I'm just gonna add an area chart and a bar chart. Okay, just for now. And now that we have created that view, if we want to show it, we also can do it in a simple way. All we have to do is look for the menu options. In this example, we can find that under resources desktop. As you can see here, I have a file called menu.json, and here I have my options. So basically, I'm just gonna copy this one, paste, and over here, I'm just gonna say that it's going to be dashboard. Okay, let's change the other one to table. And now I have to specify the home view. Sorry, and now I have to specify the X type, and the X type comes from the dashboard.js file. So basically this is the X type. I'm gonna copy and I'm going to paste it over here. And I am going to save. Now that's going to refresh my window, and as you can see, I have all three sections: dashboard, home, and personnel. Okay, I can switch between all of them. And as you can see, the dashboard contains those two charts. Of course, I don't have any scrolling. I don't have any options to keep every section correctly inside of the panel, but that's a topic for a different webinar. Okay, so for now, I'm just gonna stop the watch so that I don't have those many instances running. Okay, and I'm going to show you something else. I have a Sencha Architect application. I actually have a few of those. Let me show you what I have. So I have a project folder, and here I have my first app, my second app, a simple app, a live example, which is the one that we were creating, and also I have project architect. Okay, if I go there, I have two architect projects. Those are quite different from what we have, because those two were created with architect. So now what I'm going to be doing is loading one of those. These are only two simple demos, and I'm going to turn them into a Rapid Ext JS application. It's pretty straightforward, so let's just try it. So I'm gonna click on New XJS app again. I'm going to click on Open Existing Project, and I'm going to look for that application. So here, I'm just gonna open the second one, import, and this is going to tell you, do you want to convert the existing application to an XGen based application? I'm just gonna say yes. It's going to ask me for a new name. Okay, so I'm just gonna say Architect Example 2. And I'm going to save it in the folder that we are currently working on. So basically it's under webinars, Rapid Ext JS project, and I'm gonna put it here, okay? And let's hit on yes. This is going to take a while again, but it's grabbing everything that it's on that application and it's creating a new one. So once this is done, I'm going to show you exactly what happened. So I know that this takes a lot of time. So instead of just waiting for it to finish, what I'm going to be doing is opening an example that I previously created. There are a few things to take in mind. They're actually part of the documentation. When you export from Architect and import into Rapid Ext JS, usually you will get an extra Sencha word in the configuration. For example, if you're using charts, instead of just saying charts, it will say Sencha-charts. Get rid of that and just leave something simple, just like charts. Okay. Once you fix everything, you have to rebuild your application. So just hit on Run Build, and that will also take a while to do. So I'm not going to do it right now. I'm gonna open the other application, which I know did work on the first try. And if I go in and check this one out, this one will work because there's no charts in it. Okay, the only requires that we have is font awesome. Well, let me save. And this is what I have right now. So this is just a basic Sencha Architect application. Doesn't have much, just have a few options there that you can go in and test. So basically this is just an example to see what you can do. but the important thing is that it works without having to change anything. Okay. So right now we have a bunch of different Sencha Rapid Ext JS applications. So if we go and check our folder, you will be able to see that we have quite a lot here. Okay. So what happens if we want to work with multiple applications or multiple projects inside the same application, or multiple applications inside the same project? Rapid Ext JS allows us to do that in a simple way. And the way we do that is just by opening the actual folder that contains all the applications. Okay, now I have a lot of projects here. And Rapid Ext JS recognizes what is going on. It's telling me your workspace contains multiple XJS projects. Please select a Rapid Ext JS project to proceed. So I'm gonna say select. And as you can see, I will get all my Rapid Ext JS projects up there. If I have an architect or just a basic XJS project, it's not gonna show here. So let's say that I want to choose live example. If I do so, the application that is going to be tested on my browser is that application, and just that one. If I want to restart the watch to be able to test it, I can do it right now. And once it's done, I will be able to see my application on the browser. You can see now that exact application is running. Okay, so I can make it work just like that if I have a folder with different applications. But now that I'm testing that one, what if I want to switch to a different one? Let's say I want to go back to my first app. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to select Enable Rapid Ext JS. And that is going to switch from the current application to that one. Okay, it might take also a few seconds, but once it's done, I'm going to be able to work on that application and also to test it on my browser. Okay, now it is telling me that this other project is active. I'm going to restart the watch again so that I can work on that application. Okay, and this is what I have now. So I can start working on this other application. So as you can see, like I said, it's quite easy to switch between different projects. Although the current version, it takes a few minutes to switch between projects, but that's a lot faster than closing and opening different applications. Okay, so let's continue and let's talk about other features and options that we have in our projects. And let's talk a little bit more. Oh, and by the way, I almost forgot, although I don't have it installed here, if you're running on a Mac or if you have Android Studio installed, you can test your application directly in an emulator. So if I click here, it will open the emulator and you will be able to test. Since I don't have Android Studio and the ADB environment, I am not able to test it, but it's something useful, something that you have there to work on. Finally, before we end this webinar, let me just show you that if you go into your settings, you can also work with the settings for the actual extension. So over here, you will be able to find Rapid Ext JS, which is actually under app configuration. So basically, here you can tell where your command line is, the name of the default name for your application, the default profile, template, and many other options. Okay, so over here you can go and change what you need, including that you can also select what the default build script is going to be, which you can also set up on the JSON file. And that is not all. You can also specify which view it's going to be the default one. As you have seen before, every time I opened a view, it was selecting the design view. So you can actually tell it to just be code instead of design. That way, if I go into an example, I can actually just have it look a little bit different. So let's go into first app, and I will select one of the views. And you remember before it was loading the design view by default. So now it is loading the code view. Okay, but since I am using Rapid Ext JS, the best idea is to actually have the other view show up. So I'm just gonna go back into extensions, app configuration, and I'm going to say that it should load the design view. Okay. That way, next time I open it, it's going to open on the design, although I have to change the settings. Okay, we have been talking about several different Rapid Ext JS topics. I know that we said that we were going to look at those multi-application projects in a more detailed way, but this is part of what Rapid Ext JS is. It's quite easy. It's so easy that even if it's something as important as multi-project development, it is something that can be done and it can be understood in a simple way, just like I explained it before. So once again, I invite you to enter some questions in our question panel. I will try to answer a few questions before we end this webinar. And if I don't have the time to answer your question, please send me an email. I'll do my best to answer. You can also send us ideas for other webinars. There are some topics that you want to learn about. Just send me an email. I'll try to include those topics into the next webinars. Once again, the next month's webinar is going to be about custom components. So if you want to see something special, let me know. I'll try to incorporate that component into my presentation. Of course, if you're asking for something way too complex, I won't have the time to show it, but I'll try to do something for you. Okay. So we have our first question here. We are being asked, what's the difference between Sencha Architect and Rapid Ext JS? Well, they both perform kind of like the same task, but like I mentioned before, Sencha Architect is a standalone application, and Rapid Ext JS is an add-on or a plugin for Microsoft Code. So both of them work as low-code software. However, Sencha Architect is more of a visual development tool. Yeah, you get to add some code, but not that much. With Rapid Ext JS, you get to create the visual part of your application with it, but the code, the logic for your application, it's usually programmed directly as just plain code by using XJS and JavaScript. Okay, I hope that answers your question. There's a lot more to it, but that's a basic idea. Okay, the next question is, where can I find more information about Rapid Ext JS? And I will recommend that you go to our docs. I actually have them here. This is where you can find information about how to migrate applications from Sencha Architect to Rapid, like I was telling you before. And it will also go through different options and different information that will help you get used to Rapid Ext JS. Also, if you're new with XJS, in the same documentation, you can just go into the XJS part of it, and you will get to learn a lot more. Like I said before, there are plenty of components. There are two toolkits, the modern and the classic toolkit. There's a lot of information there. Also, if you want to see all the components working, I invite you to also visit the kitchen sink. Here you will find most of the examples of the different components available for XJS and of course for Rapid and Architect. So there are a lot of different components, anything from simple grids to pivot grids and things that are a lot more complex like calendars, even drawing components. Okay, so I invite you to take a look at it and you will find a lot of information there to help you out with your applications. Okay, for the following question, I am being asked if it's possible to connect XJS to a .NET backend. Yes, it is possible. Like I always say, XJS is backend agnostic, meaning you can connect it to whatever you may need or whatever you have. The only thing that it's important is that it's a RESTful application, so you can connect to any exposed endpoints. You can use REST verbs, or you can just create your own interface to connect. I have seen everything by using actually actions like post, delete, update, and things like that. And I have also seen some examples where people just send the actual action as part of the URL or as another parameter. So it is completely agnostic. You can use what you want. Uh, Personally, I have used PHP, Cold Fusion, Node.js, and RAD server without any issues, but I know that it works with anything. Okay, we are running out of time. I'm just gonna answer 2 more questions and that's it. Okay, the next one says, I have noticed that my applications in XJS are heavy. Is there a way to make them smaller? Yes, it's something that you can do with Rapid. Don't forget that usually this is running under development. All your code is not minified, it's exposed, it's there. So if you want to minify your application, what I will do is actually just run build and I will create my application for production. There are 3 different environments that you can use. Development, which is the default one, it will show everything. Testing will get rid of some extra things like comments and things like that to make your application a little bit more, to make your application a little bit smaller. And production, which will actually minify and obfuscate your code to make it harder to read and to make it a lot smaller. Just as an example, I have had applications that are between 10 and 20 megs just in the front end. And by using production, I can take them down to less than 2 megs. So usually what happens, it goes about 10% of the original size. Okay, one final question. Are there any known issues about importing from Architect into Rapid Ext JS? Yes, there are a few. I think I already mentioned a couple. But if you have questions and you want to learn more about that, once again, I invite you to go into our docs and just take a look at it here. If I go into Rapid and look at version 1.1, I can see here that here's the Sencha Architect migration page. And it will go through different things. And like I said before, it will tell you how to fix a problem that has to do with theming. Another one that has to be with packages. That's the one I was talking about. That it usually adds the Sencha text there and you should just get rid of it. And I think that's basically it. Of course, how long it takes to import depends on the size of your application. It might take anything from 1 minute to 20 minutes or so. So don't get discouraged if it's taking a long time. That's normal. It's grabbing all the metadata from Architect and building your application now for Rapid. So that takes some time. Okay, so that's it for today. Appreciate everyone that joined us today. Once again, if you have more questions, please send them to my email. And I will see you next month on the next webinar. If you have any more topics that you want to talk about, send them to my email, and I'll make sure that for the following webinars I include those topics. Thank you, and see you soon.